Creating scripts with a lot of logic that interact with multiple elements can make your scripts quite big and complex to maintain. We couldn't always create dedicated scripts for these smaller actions because we might need the result of a previous action for our next one. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create smaller dedicated scripts and how you can get the results back from a subscript that you executed in your main script. Creating one big script that does a lot of actions can make the script quite complex and hard to maintain. We could also decide to create smaller dedicated scripts that do one specific action, but then we often have a problem when we need the results of one action to continue the next one. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create small dedicated scripts and how you can get the results back when you execute a subscript from a main script. To do this, I'm going to use singular live and VLC streaming again as an example. It's actually a script I created before, but this time I will split it up in 3 smaller scripts. So let's first go to Visual Studio and I will quickly show you the scripts that I created, and then we can see DataMiner Cube, how we can execute them. So here I am actually connected to Visual Studio and I have 3 scripts opened, all with one C# action. My main script is the singular live new stream script that gets 2 dummies, the singular live element and the VLC element, and has one C# action. What this one will do is first call another script that will create a new flow in singular live. And once that is done, we will call another script that will create a new stream in VLC. So if I show that in DataMiner Cube, we actually want to create a new flow here. And once that flow is up and running, we need to get the input stream URL back and then start streaming to that URL. So how does my main script look like? Or what does it look like? First of all, I create a new singular live flow. To do that, I call a subscript, which is my singular live new flow script, and pass along the dummy I got here. So actually, I don't do any validation to this dummy in my main element. I simply pass it along. I set perform checks to false because I'm doing that in that script separately. And I want to run it synchronously, meaning that I want to wait until that script is done before continuing my main script here again. You'll also notice something special that we haven't touched before, and that is important now when we want to get the results back from a script. That is the inherit script output. I have added this here, although the default is true, just to show you what it exactly means. Basically, in a subscript, we can add output to our script that we can then retrieve from our main script, for example. And in this case, we want to make sure we inherit that output that we set in our subscript, otherwise we will not be able to retrieve it. So here I am starting my subscript, so let's first look into that one. My subscript also has my singular live dummy. So what I'm doing here is actually initialize the singular live object that I created, so it's for a class. And basically when my element is not active, instead of just failing directly, I will simply add script output with an error message and the reason why it failed. This is something I can then retrieve in my main script to actually check what the error was. You'll notice in this case that I'm actually not throwing any exception. I simply want my script to stop and then I can actually get that message. Of course, you can still add additional exception handling here as well. I also want to highlight with C# there are numerous ways to do something. So there are different options that you can take and that you're free to decide that for yourself. After that, what I do is create a new flow. This is something similar to what we did before. When my new flow is created, I'll add a script output, input stream with the actual stream. Why do I do this? Because I will need that stream to be able to update my VLC configuration, because I need to know where I need to stream to. So in my main script, if I go back there again, after I have run my script, basically here my code will wait until my script is done. And then I actually get the results from my subscript. So whatever I added via the add script output is what I will retrieve here. So what I added here is some logging, just so we can verify what we actually get back, and I'll show that in a minute in DataMiner Cube. Then I try to get the input stream from my main or from my subscript, and I return it. If I get this, then it means my script worked correctly. If I don't, then I will try to get the error message output back. So I can actually log or fail in this case with the correct error message. If I don't get anything back here, I'll just log an unknown error. And of course, it can still throw any exception, so I also want to catch this. Once I have these script results, what I'll do next is actually clear the results, because I want to use the same error message key when I'm calling my VLC script. I also added this in comments because of if I would have multiple outputs in here, and in this case I only need the error message, I could also decide to just remove this key from the dictionary that I got back here. Now in my VLC stream, here I'm just simply calling the subscript again with more or less the same items. The only difference here is that I also pass along an input parameter with the input stream I want to stream to, and I don't need any results for this, except I check if there is an error message or not to know if there was any failure. So this script is quite similar to the other one. The only difference is that I'm only adding an error message output, and in case my stream fails to stream, I'm actually using exit fail instead of adding an error message, just so we could see the difference between those. So I published all these scripts on my DataMiner. So if I now connect to DataMiner Cube and go to the automation module, you can see these are the 3 scripts. So my main one is the one I will execute manually, and then the others will be executed from this main script. So let's first see what happens if everything works out correctly. So I select the singular live element, select my VLC main stream, and I execute. Then a new flow should now be added, and I need to wait until it's running. After that, my main stream should start here. It will take the next available one. You can see it's running, so my script executed correctly. This is the main cause. Now, if I execute this again, there will already be a flow. So I should, in theory, catch this. So here, when adding a new flow, what I'm actually doing is checking if there's no active flow already. If there is one, I want to stop my script, and I'm adding an error message. So because I'm logging these, I can actually check what happens. I will execute this again now. And you can see my script failed because a flow was already active. If I now check the logging and refresh this and scroll to the bottom, we will see that my script here contained an error message. Flow for app is already active, and actually I didn't show this before, but I also previously had a correct input stream key with the actual stream that I need to use in VLC. What happens if I now stop this one again, but I don't stop my stream, meaning that there is no available stream at this point? If I now try to execute this again, my script will first of all execute the first subscript to add this flow again. But once this one becomes running, my VLC script will now throw an error because there is no available stream that I can use. So let's wait until this one transitions to running. Now you can see starting new VLC stream failed, but actually with another error code. If I now refresh the logging again, you can see that there is no key in my dictionary. And that is because I actually used exit fail and I didn't add script output, meaning that in my main script, I actually caught this exception. So I didn't actually get here because an exception was thrown as my subscript failed. So this is what actually was logged now. Similarly, if I select another singular live element, for example, the backup one, which is currently stopped, and I have in my scripts enabled that I don't want them to fail when they are not active or in timeout, because I'm checking that myself. If I now execute again, you'll see that it failed again because my singular live element is not active. Where does this error come from? This comes again because I'm adding that as script output. So here we have that error message again. So as you can see, it's actually fairly simple to add outputs to a script and to run multiple subscripts from a main script. I hope this is clear and it will help you making easily maintainable scripts in the future.